Native Americans and Indigenous people should absolutely benefit from affirmative action. The case for affirmative action for Native Americans is manifold. Historical injustices. Native Americans have endured centuries of systemic oppression, displacement, and cultural erasure on this continent, from forced removal from ancestral lands to the implementation of boarding schools aimed at eradicating their cultures. These injustices have had long lasting impacts. Affirmative action serves as a means of addressing these historical wrongs by providing opportunities for education and employment that can help rectify the socio-economic disparities resulting from such oppression. Native American communities often face severe socioeconomic challenges. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Native Americans have higher rates of poverty and unemployment compared to the national average. They experience lower levels of educational attainment. Affirmative action can help bridge these gaps by ensuring that Native Americans have better access to higher education and job opportunities, fostering economic mobility and stability. Native Americans also experience significant health disparities, including higher rates of chronic diseases, mental health issues, and lower life expectancy. These health issues are compounded by limited access to healthcare services. By promoting educational and professional opportunities through affirmative action, Native Americans can gain better access to health education and healthcare professions, potentially improving health outcomes within their communities. Native Americans are underrepresented in higher education institutions. This underrepresentation not only limits their opportunities for socioeconomic advancement, but also results in a lack of diverse perspectives in academic settings. Affirmative action can help increase Native American enrollment in colleges and universities, enriching the educational environment for all students and promoting a more inclusive society. Affirmative action can support the preservation and revitalization of Native cultures. By increasing educational and economic opportunities, Native Americans can gain the resources needed to sustain their languages, traditions, and cultural practices. This empowerment can lead to the strengthening of cultural identities and a continuation of rich cultural heritages for future generations. The United States government has recognized through various treaties and legal frameworks its obligation to support Native communities. Affirmative action aligns with these commitments by actively working to improve the socioeconomic conditions of Native Americans. It's a tangible step towards honoring these legal and moral obligations. Affirmative action for Native Americans also contributes to the broader goal of diversity and inclusion within educational and professional settings. Diverse environments enhance learning, foster innovation, and promote a better understanding and appreciation of different cultures and perspectives. Native Americans bring unique experiences and viewpoints that can enrich the collective knowledge and cultural competency of institutions and organizations. Let's go over some Supreme Court cases about Native people and about affirmative action. Several Supreme Court cases have addressed issues related to Native American rights and affirmative action. While not all cases directly focus on affirmative action, they play a significant role in shaping the legal landscape for Native Americans. Morton v. Mancari in 1974 was about the constitutionality of employment preferences for Native Americans in the Bureau of Indian Affairs. This case upheld the constitutionality of employment preferences for Native Americans within the BIA. The court ruled that such preferences were not racial discrimination, but rather a political classification based on the unique relationship between the federal government and Native tribes. This case affirmed the government's ability to provide special considerations for Native Americans, distinguishing political classifications from racial ones, crucial for affirmative action policies. Regents of the University of California versus Bakke in 1978 was about affirmative actions generally in college admissions. Although the case primarily concerned the admissions policies at the University of California, Davis, and the use of race as a factor in admissions, it set a precedent for affirmative action policies nationwide. The court ruled that while racial quotas were unconstitutional, race could be considered as one of many factors in admissions to promoting diversity. This case has implications for Native American students benefiting from affirmative action policies in educational institutions. Aderon Constructors Incorporated versus Pena in 1995 was about affirmative action in federal contracting. This case challenged the constitutionality of federal programs that provided incentives for contractors to hire minority-owned subcontractors. The court ruled that any racial classification imposed by the federal government had to be subject to strict scrutiny, the highest level of judicial review. although not specifically about Native Americans. This case influenced affirmative action policies that might benefit Native American contractors and businesses by requiring such policies to meet strict scrutiny standards. Fisher versus the University of Texas in 2013 and 2016 was about affirmative action in college admissions. Abigail Fisher challenged the UT Austin's consideration of race in admissions. The Supreme Court upheld the university's policy, stating that the use of race in admissions decisions was permissible under the Equal Protection Clause if it met strict scrutiny. This case reaffirmed the principle set in Bakke, affecting Native American students and other minorities by allowing race to be a factor in college admissions. Finally, U.S. v. Antelope in 1977 was about the application of federal law to Native Americans. The court ruled that federal criminal laws applied to Native Americans living on reservations do not constitute racial discrimination because the laws apply to individuals based on their status as Native Americans, a political classification. This reinforced that distinction between racial and political classifications, supporting the framework that allows affirmative action policies benefiting Native Americans.